All right, we'll call the regular meeting of the St. Mary Parish School Board to order. It's Thursday, June 13th, 2024, 5:30 PM in the Evans Medine Meeting Room. Dr. Fagenbush, please call roll.
Ms. Brent? Here. Ms. Moore? Mrs. Anselm? Present. Ms. Jones? Here. Mrs. Griffith? Here. Ms. LaSalle? Here. Mr. Ponte? Here. Mr. Parity? Here. Mr. Mancuso? Here. Mrs. Dennis? Here. Mrs. Black? Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. If you are able to, please stand for the invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father God, we come before your holy presence this evening with thanksgiving and praise, thanking and praising you for all of your bountiful, abundant blessings that you bestow on each of us, our families, and our entire St. Mary Parish. Also, we continue to ask and thank you for giving your divine wisdom and understanding to our superintendent, Dr. Fagenbush, school board president, Mrs. Black, and to all of our other school board members that will allow them to effectively discuss and take action as needed on all items on today's agenda. Finally, as our schools are enjoying their summer vacations, we ask and thank you for protecting our students and our school board employees and all of their families from all harm and danger as much as you possibly can. It is in your name, in the name of Jesus, we pray and we thank you for continuing to bless and protect our St. Mary Parish, our state of Louisiana, and most importantly, our United States of America. Amen. Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next up, we do not have an amended agenda. So approval of the official school board minutes from our regular meeting on May 9th, 2024. Ms. Moore makes a motion, Mr. Mancuso seconds it. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next is the approval of the consent agenda. The items preceded with an asterisk will constitute the consent agenda, with board members being able to remove any item so desired. All remaining items will constitute the finalized consent agenda and be voted on all together. Dr. Fagenbush, please read the items on the consent agenda.
Under Business Affairs, number 4, approve Louisiana Compliance Questionnaire of Audit Engagement Entities. Number 5, approve a newspaper to serve as the official journal for the school board for the year commencing July 1, 2024. Number 6, accept proposal of financial institutions in the parish to serve as joint fiscal agents for the school board for the 2-year period commencing July 1, 2024. Number 9, approve banking resolutions authorizing signatories at various schools as a result of recent appointments. Number 13, field trips. A, Morgan City High School band travel to Universal Studios Stars marching performance on April 13th through the 17th, 2025 in Orlando, Florida. And that ends the consent agenda.
Okay. Any items need to be removed? What are the wishes of the board? Mr. Mancuso? Mr. Mancuso moves to accept. Ms. Jones seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, first up, under appearances or our recognition of newly appointed positions, Ms. Este.
Good evening. St. Mary Parish is proud to announce the 3 appointments of the new employees. I'm going to first start with Miss Ebony Delone. Ms. Delone is our new coordinator of accountability. She is stepping into the shoes of the retiring Mrs. Robbie Goat. Ms. Delone brings a wealth of experience and passion for educational excellence to her new role. Her journey in education began at B. Edward Woodrow Middle School in St. Mary Parish, where she ignited the spark for math in her students, leading them to achieve top scores in the district. Her dedication to academic success saw her transition to Karen Crowe High School in Lafayette Parish, where she further honed her skills as a math master teacher and later as the proficient data analysis. Her expertise in coordinating assessments, conducting data analysis, and providing mentorship will undoubtedly be invaluable assets to her new capacity in St. Mary Parish. Returning home, Ms. Delone expresses her excitement and the opportunity to contribute to St. Mary Parish's commitment to educational advancement. And at this time, I would like to let her give a few words.
Good afternoon. I would just like to say thank you for the opportunity to serve St. Mary Parish, and I look forward to being an asset and working with this wonderful team.
Next, I have Mrs. Gidget Everett as the new student of services. She is unable to be with us tonight because she is out of training for her new position. She served as an educator for 24 years, all in St. Mary Parish. She began her journey in education at Patterson High School as a teacher. Then she moved to an at-risk interventionist in St. Mary Parish, acting principal at Morgan City Junior High, and assistant principal at Patterson High. In her role as at-risk interventionist, she obtained certifications in various areas such as trainer for trust-based relation intervention, CPI, restorative practices, regulated classroom, and PBIS Tier 1. With all the certifications, she brings a wealth of knowledge to assist the teachers and the students of our district. She is excited for and thankful for the opportunity to work with all schools again. And that's Mrs. Gidget Everett. Next, we have Miss Amanda Chase. Ms. Chase is named as principal of Wyandotte Elementary. She served as an educator for 20 years in St. Mary Parish. She began her career at Shannon Elementary, then transitioned to Wyandotte Elementary, where she taught first grade, then was named curriculum facilitator. After serving facilitator for 3 years, she then became dean of students. She is dedicated to Wyandotte Elementary and the community. She is passionate about education and knowledgeable about the curriculum. Her principal stated that she's an excellent decision maker and a problem solver. As dean of students, she has grown as a professional and a leader. In her interview, she stated she wanted to bring consistency to Wyandotte. With serving at Shannon Elementary for 16 years and the last 4 years at Wyandotte, she does invest her time and years wherever she teaches or leads. Do you have anything to add?
Sure. So good evening. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Amanda Chase. I'm actually a product of Wyandotte Elementary. I grew up in Wyandotte subdivision, so I'm really excited that I got to return to those roots, and I'm excited to see where we're going to go in the future. I'm excited to lead. I'm ready to get started. Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Kentrell Lewis. Mr. Lewis is named behavior interventionist. He has been an educator for 24 years. He started off at Mary Hines as an elementary teacher. He was a behavior interventionist for the district for 3 years. He moved to B. Edward Woodrow, where he was a counselor for 9 years, and then West St. Mary High School, where was counselor for 5 years. He has a master's degree in school counseling, and he is a licensed professional counselor. He's also a supervisor of counseling. Not only does he bring with him a wealth of knowledge and credentials, he brings with him a calming professional spirit, and he has a personality that will assist him in his career. I do know personally from my time as a principal, he worked with some of my kids and he did an amazing job. Would you like to add a few things?
I'm excited to fill the role of behavior interventionist, and I look forward to serving St. Mary Parish School System.
All right, thank you so much. Next up is recognition of Red Ribbon 2024 slogan and drawing contest winners. Dr. Sanders.
Good evening, everyone. At the end of each school year, we have to start our preparations for Red Ribbon Week for the next school year. And typically we celebrate Red Ribbon Week in the month of October. So to get started with Red Ribbon Week, we first have to choose our slogan for the entire campaign. So tonight, the first recognition I would like to make, and I hope she's here, is our Red Ribbon Week slogan contest winner. And her slogan is, hand in hand, take a stand, be drug free. So Miss Andy Lynn Grow, 5th grader at Emmy Norman, has the winning slogan that will be the entire basis for our campaign next year. Is Andy Lynn here? She did make it tonight. And she also wins $100. So I'll make sure that she can get it. So the next step in the process, once you choose your slogan, is to advertise for an art contest. And all of the art contest winners have their art featured in the Red Ribbon Week calendar. So 12 of the winners have each a month in the calendar, and then the grand prize winner is the cover of the Red Ribbon Week calendar. So for now, I'm going to introduce the 12-month winners. And when I call your name, you can meet our Dr. Fagenbush, our superintendent up front, and she has a plaque with your picture in it. And she will also want to shake your hand.
And Dr. Sanders, we're going to ask them to line up so we can get a group picture. So once you come up, we'll give you your plaque, we'll line up and get a group.
Sounds good. First winner is Jace Oquin, 4th grader at Hattie Watts Elementary. Next is Wyatt Oquin, 1st grader at Berwick Elementary. Next is Shirley Bardalis, 8th grader at Morgan City Junior High. Next is Joselette Bibian, 3rd grader at JS Oquin. Claire Crawford, 3rd grader at St. John Elementary. Next is Fernando Fonseca, 8th grader at Morgan City Junior. Adrian Hernandez Garcia, 4th grader at JS Oquin. Marcus Johnson, 11th grade at Morgan City High School. Aubrey Nato, 3rd grader at Raintree Elementary. Bella Nguyen, 1st grader at St. John Elementary. Bryn Robinson, 5th grade, St. John Elementary. Blaine Richardson, 11th grade, Franklin Senior High. And the grand prize winner, who will be featured on the cover of the calendar and also featured on the t-shirt for the campaign, and will also win $100, is Sophia Hastings, 11th grade. Eleventh grade, Morgan City High.
All right, next on our agenda is recognition of our BAM 4 educators. Ms. Este.
For those of you who aren't familiar with VAM, VAM stands for Value Added Model, which is part of the evaluation process for 4th through 8th grade core teachers, Algebra 1, Geometry, English 1, and English 2. It's based on the progress that a student has within the school year. The state gives teachers a progress chart, basically, that says how many points that student has to move within the school year. And the goal is to get them to mastery for 8th grade. So it's not a very easy task from year to year. So we would like to give a big thank you to these teachers for the work that they have done for the students and the growth that they have made with their students. These teachers will also, in addition to being recognized, this was part of the plan that y'all had approved with the funds, where teachers that received a 4 on their VAM would receive $3,000. So at this time, I would like to recognize these teachers, and if y'all don't mind, stand up, and you want them to line up so y'all can get a picture as well? Okay. So when you come up, just stand and wait for the pictures. From Bayou Vista Elementary, Miss Heather Crapel. Miss Tamitha King. Miss Bridget Mobile. From Berwick Elementary, Rachel Oquin. Miss Rachel Oquin, sorry. From Foster Elementary, Miss Anna Howard. From Franklin Junior High, Miss Amy Gilliam. From Hattie Watts, Miss Mary Gilmore. Also from Hattie Watts, Miss Alyssa Rhodes. From Wyandotte Elementary, Miss Maybelle Klein. From B. Edward Boudreaux, Miss Michelle Colley. From Raintree Elementary, Miss Ingrid Cummings, sorry. Also from Raintree, excuse me, Miss Kim Meir. And again, from Raintree, Ms. Shante Womble. Again, we would like to thank all of you for your hard work, and I know you strive for this every year, so I'm happy that we can now recognize and give y'all a little something. Thank you.
All right, our next two items are recognition of our high jump state champion and our FFA state president and state parliamentarian. But due to prior commitments, they're unable to be here tonight. So we are going to celebrate them in July. So stay tuned for those in July. Okay, next up, under business affairs, number 1, discuss and take appropriate action regarding an industrial tax exemption application for Gravois aluminum boats. Mr. Evan Boudreaux.
Members of the board, so this is actually regarding a non-compliance for a tax exemption that Metal Shark was receiving. The project began, or the application began in 2018. The project start date to begin in May of 2020. As we all know, in March of 2020, COVID hit, and that kind of changed the world as we know it. Because of that, the project that this was related to was regarding just the ferry industry up in New York City in the northeast part of the United States. Well, because of COVID and the lockdowns and the closures, they just, from an industry-wide perspective, business slowed down. So this non-compliance is from the actual year of 2022, not currently or last year even. But basically, I'm just here to tell you that that's what the situation is. The school board is up to decide a recommendation to make to the Board of Commerce and Industry, who actually will make the final decision of what action, if any, will be taken against the company. And here to answer any questions.
What was the non-compliance? What type?
So the non-compliance required that they would create 2 new full-time jobs with an annual payroll of, I believe, $72,000 a year. And the non-compliance was basically that those 2 jobs were not met in the year of 2022.
I know we had a hard time in 2022, but 2 jobs doesn't seem like that's hard to fill.
Well, so I will say, in 2022, and I mean, I think everyone here can probably attest to that, just working in business or not, it's incredibly difficult to find employees just generally. And with this type of industry, you're looking for very specialized, very skilled individuals who not only will take the job, but are reliable to maintain employment. So they might have even hired these 2 people, but if those 2 people didn't continue to work, well, then it wouldn't count towards the incentive. So it's not saying that these 2 jobs were never filled. It's just saying that when they had to file their report to the state, those 2 jobs were not filled at that time.
Just really tired of giving them the tax exemption, and there's always an excuse. and we always, let them go. We usually just let the Commerce decide, but I want to know what kind of penalties does the Commerce usually give when we put it in their hands?
That's a great question. Personally, I think it just depends on who the governor is at the time. That's because the governor gets to appoint members of the Commerce and Industry Board. So if you have a more business-friendly governor, the appointments to that board will likely be more business-friendly, whereas if you don't, then that would be reflecting his appointments. So because we're under a new administration, the rules that are applying to this particular situation are the 2016 rules. So like the rules that will apply for ITEPs moving forward since Governor Landry came into office are completely different. So if this happens again, the school board will not have an input really, as the full board at least. What this Commerce Board can do is basically they decide to, one, terminate the agreement altogether. Two, they can require the school board and the company agree on a negotiated payment that the Metal Shark will pay to the school board for whatever amount. Or lastly, they can basically just say, not only going to terminate the agreement, but the back taxes that they were exempted from, they would have to pay those back taxes back. I don't know what the Commerce and Industry Board will do. It's really kind of just left up to them. Yes, but they have the option to take that recommendation or not. Yeah. I personally agree with you that I think the ITEP program is generally speaking has some issues with it being a property tax program and the state deciding on it whenever they don't collect property taxes to begin with. So I do relate to that as well.
I'm sorry. So this says Gravia aluminum boats, and so it's Metal Shark.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
So this is the second time we've had Metal Shark in front of us just since I've been a board member of them not being in compliance. And from what I understand, St. Mary Parish School Board isn't getting any benefits as far as possibly an internship, someone learning, to where there could be some type of exchange or even a healthy exchange back and forth to where we feel like we're benefiting from it either. Is that something that they could provide in the future?
I'm sure Metal Shark would absolutely be open to discussing that with the school board. I don't see why not at all. I do know that, especially recently, the recent announcements of project expansions and just increased work Metal Shark is pursuing. They have been very engaged with job fairs, trying to get those employment numbers up. So I don't see why they would not be interested in having those discussions with the board.
Anybody else? Ms. LaSalle?
I would like to suggest to the Commerce that they pay the money back to us that they received and didn't comply with what the rules said.
Okay, so is that a motion that we put in a recommendation for their penalty to be that they pay us back the lost tax revenue for us? Okay, Ms. LaSalle makes that motion. Do we have a second? All right, Ms. Griffin seconds it. Any discussions or questions?
Is there a possibility that y'all would be up to maybe cutting that in half if we get some type of internship or back and forth that would benefit St. Mary Parish School Board? Or do y'all just want to go full for the full amount paid back? It's just a question.
I wouldn't trust them because they've already missed twice.
All right, any other discussions? All right, so the motion on the floor is to make a recommendation to the Louisiana Commerce Board that the penalty for Gravois aluminum boats would be to pay the district back in lost tax revenue. Did I get that correct? All right, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Nay.
Thank you.
Roll call. Yes. Three. All right, roll call.
Ms. Brent? Ms. Moore? Ms. Anselm?
Yes.
Ms. Jones? Ms. Griffin? Ms. LaSalle?
Yes.
Mr. Ponte? Mr. Parity? Mr. Mancuso? Mrs. Dennis?
No.
Mrs. Black?
No.
Six yeses, 5 nos.
All right, motion carries. So did y'all make that recommendation?
That'll actually have to come from the school board. Whenever you have you'd have to provide the notice, a public notice that it was on a meeting, as well as a resolution or just documentation showing that what decision was made. I believe the deadline is at the end of July for the August meeting. So the August meeting will happen, and that's where the Commerce Industry Board will take up testimony from the company, and then the board will vote. I believe the governor has made his appointments, and I do know, I believe Representative St. Blanc does sit on the Commerce Industry Board as well, but I think he's just an alternate. So I don't know if he'll have a vote at that particular meeting, but
Thank you very much.
thank you.
All right, next up, number 2, approve proposed employee meal prices for the 2024-2025 school year. Ms. Strassel.
Good evening. At this time, I request that the board approve the proposed employee meal price chart for the 2024-2025 school year with no changes from the previous year.
All right, Ms. Dennis makes a motion to approve. Mr. Parity seconds it. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, number 3, approve community eligibility provision for participation for the 2024-2025 school year.
At this time, I request that the board approve continued participation in the community eligibility provision district-wide. This would allow students to continue to receive school breakfast and lunch at no charge to their families. Additionally, the data that we have as of April 1st, 2024 indicates that it will continue to be no charge to the board either.
Awesome. All right, Ms. Britton makes that motion to approve. All right, Ms. Jones seconds it. Any discussions or questions? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Yay, that's awesome. Thank y'all so much in our nutrition department for all that hard work. All right, number 7, approve group life insurance for the period commencing October 1st, 2024. Mr. Perry.
This year, we received a large increase from our current carrier, Unum, 22%. And then we got it down to 16%, but that was still real high. We had a lot of claims this year. So we went to market, and our broker and our consultant contacted, I think, 20-something companies, and that's in your packet. And all but 5 or 6 of them, they didn't even respond. So we took the ones that responded and we compared them, and there was only one that met our current rates and our current benefits. They're an A-rated company, and it's the second page in your packet, and it's Standard Insurance. They are A-rated, and they offered us a 3-year rate guarantee, which is really good. So that's my recommendation. That's the consultant's recommendation, that we move from Unum to Standard Insurance for our life insurance product.
What are the wishes of the board? Mr. Parity? All right, Mr. Parity makes that motion. Ms. Moore seconds. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 8, announce intent to call elections in 1 or more school districts within the jurisdiction of the St. Mary Parish School Board. Mr. Perry.
We're now starting that process, culminating in the election in December. This is the first step whereby we actually announce the intent to call the election. This announcement, which I'll read in a minute, will be sent to our local legislators as required and also published in the official journal. This gets things started. The next board meeting, our bonding attorney will attend, and you guys will be asked to approve a resolution to call the election. So I'd like to read this announcement, and this is the announcement that will go to the legislators and be published in the paper. Announcement of public meeting. Notice is hereby given that at its meeting to be held on Thursday, July 11th, 2024, at 5:30 p.m. at the Evans Medine Board Meeting Room at Central Office Complex, 474 Highway 317, Centerville, Louisiana. The Parish School Board of the Parish of St. Mary, State of Louisiana, plans to consider adopting a resolution ordering and calling elections to be held in Consolidated School District Number 2, St. Mary Parish, Louisiana, Consolidated School District Number 3 of the St. Mary Parish, Louisiana, and 6th Ward Special District Number 3 of St. Mary Parish to authorize the renewal of the ad valorem taxes therein. And that's our 3 maintenance districts. No action needs to be taken. We just had to make the announcement.
Thank you. Next would be number 10, adopt the adjusted millage rates. Ms. Boizan.
Good evening. Each year, we're required to set our 8 millage rates in order to receive our property taxes, which are also known as ad valorem taxes, from the Sheriff's Department in December and January. Our property taxes make up 14% of our general fund revenue, and they are the main source of revenue in our 3 maintenance districts. 23-24's actual general fund ad valorem collections were $12.6 million of our $88.5 million general fund budget. 23-24's maintenance district ad valorem collections were $2.9 million in District 1, $2.4 million in District 2, and $2.4 million in District 3, for a total of $7.7 million. So the general fund and maintenance districts collect approximately $20 million in property taxes annually. Our 8 millage rates are comprised of 2 general fund parish-wide taxes, 3 maintenance district taxes, and 3 bonds. One of our general fund taxes is constitutional and never expires. The other general fund tax expires in 2031. Since our 3 maintenance district taxes expire 12/31/25, we're proposing to renew these taxes for an additional 10 years through an election on 12/7/24, which Mr. Perry referred to. The millage rates we are proposing are taken directly from our 2024 reassessment forms obtained from the assessor's office. As a reminder, we rode forward in 2020, which was the last reassessment year, and are recommending we do so this year in 2024. Rolling forward occurs when there's an increase in property values that adjusts the millage rates downward, and the district wants to roll back up to the prior year's maximum. To accomplish this, we need to adopt the exact same millage rates we currently have, which is known as rolling forward, producing a slight increase in millage revenue due to an increase in property valuations. The other 3 property taxes we need to adopt tonight are our bonds. Bonds are not subject to reassessment. These rates are set annually by the board, and changes do not require voter approval. The legislative auditor, as well as our internal auditors, require we review our bond rates annually and adjust accordingly to ensure that the projected value of our fund balance doesn't exceed the following year's principal and interest payments. So after performing this required analysis, it was determined our bond rate for Patterson Junior / Hattie Watts, or the 5th Ward Special School District Number 1, should remain the same at 20 mills. However, the review showed that our bond rate for Raintree Consolidated School District Number 1 needs to be reduced from 10 mills to 8 mills. And our bond rate for Centerville High or our special school district number 4 needs to be reduced from 6 mills to 4 mills. We're required to read the resolutions adopting 2024 millage rates aloud, word for word, which I will do now. But before I do, I'd like to stress these are all renewal property taxes and not new taxes. Resolution 1, be it resolved that by the St. Mary Parish School Board of the Parish of St. Mary, Louisiana, in a public meeting held on June 13th, 2024, which meeting was conducted in accordance with the Open Meetings Law and the additional requirements of Article 7, Section 23C of the Louisiana Constitution and RS 47:1705B, that the following adjusted millage rates be, and they are hereby levied upon the dollar of the assessed valuation of all property subject to ad valorem taxation within said parish for the year 2024 for the purpose of raising revenue. General Fund Number 1, Constitutional Tax 1068051, 8.76 mils. General Fund Number 2, Consolidated School District Number 5, 1068061, 11.72 mils. Special Funds Maintenance Taxes Number 1, Consolidated School District Number 3, 1068055, 12.32 mils. Consolidated School District Number 2, 1068054, 12.59 mils. Sixth Ward School District Number 3, 1068057, 12.45 mils. Be it further resolved that the assessor of the parish of St. Mary shall extend the assessment roll for the year 2024, the taxes herein levied, and the tax collector of said parish shall collect and remain the same to said taxing authority in accordance with law. At this time, I'd like to ask if there are any public comments. Being that there are none, Ms. Black, can you please ask the board members for a motion, a second on agenda item 10, and take a roll call vote?
Okay, what are the wishes of the board? All right, Ms. LaSalle has a question first.
Are we supposed to vote individually on,
Yes, we're gonna take a roll call after we get a motion.
okay, I make the motion.
Ms. LaSalle makes the motion. Mr. Mancuso seconds it. Dr. Fagan-Bush, please, any discussion or questions? All right, please take a roll call vote.
Ms. Brent? Ms. Moore? Ms. Sandslam? Ms. Jones? Ms. Griffin? Ms. LaSalle?
Yes.
Mr. Ponte? Mr. Parity? Mr. Mancuso? Mrs. Dennis? Mrs. Black?
Yes. Thank you. All right, motion carries.
Thank you. Can we combine items 11 and 12 because they both correlate to resolution 2?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm required to read aloud this resolution as well, word for word. So this one actually shows our adjusted rates, which are our lower rates, our 2024 levy rates, which are the ones we had last year. And then in addition to that, it has our bonds. Resolution number 2, be it resolved by the St. Mary Parish School Board of the Parish of St. Mary, Louisiana, in a public meeting held on June 13th, 2024, which meeting was conducted in accordance with the Open Meetings Law and the additional requirements of Article 7, Section 23C of the Louisiana Constitution and RS 47:1705B, that the taxing district vote to increase the millage rates, but not in excess of the prior year's maximum rates on all taxable property shown on the official assessment roll for 2024. And when collected, the revenues from said taxes shall be used only for the specific purposes for which said taxes have been levied. Said millage rates are general fund constitutional school tax 1068051, adjusted rate 8.76 mils, levy rate 8.83 mils. General Fund Constitutional School District number 5, 1068061, adjusted rate 11.72 mils, 2024 levy 11.82 mils. Maintenance tax, Consolidated School District number 3, 1068055, adjusted rate 12.32, levied rate 12.42. Maintenance District number 3, Consolidated School District number 2, 1068054, 12.59 mils adjusted, 12.73 mils 2004 levy. Sixth Ward School District number 3, 1068057, 12.45 mils adjusted, 12.53 mils levied. Bond retirement funds, number 1, Consolidated School District number 1, 1068093, 8 mils. Special School District number 4, 1068092, 4 mils. Fifth Ward Special School District number 1, 1068106, 20 mils. Be it further resolved that the assessor of the parish of St. Mary shall extend upon the assessment roll for the year 2024 the taxes herein levied, and the tax collector of said parish shall collect, remit the same to said taxing authority in accordance with the law. At this time, I'd like to ask if there are any public comments. Okay, being that there are none, Ms. Black, can you please ask for motion, a second, for agenda items 11 and 12, and then take a roll call vote.
All right, Ms. Moore makes that motion. Ms. Dennis seconds it. Any questions or comments? All right, Dr. Fagenbush, please take a roll call.
Ms. Brent? Ms. Moore? Ms. Anselm? Ms. Jones? Ms. Griffin? Ms. LaSalle? Mr. Ponte? Mr. Parity? Mr. Mancuso? Ms. Dennis? Mrs. Black?
Yes. All right, motion carries. Next up, number 14, receive updates regarding the re-enrollment process that has been initiated by the St. Mary Parish School System. Ms. Brent, this is your item.
Yes, it is. I'm interested in having the update. I would like to also know the number of students that by schools re-enrolled in the schools. Yeah, I'll count. I would like to know that. In addition, there is a parent here that I feel that had some questions and concerns that should also have an opportunity to express their feelings here tonight.
Do they submit a public comment card?
To do that, they'd have to do the public comment card. Did they turn in a card?
No. You all had an opportunity to turn in a card if you're interested in speaking. She doesn't want to speak. I'm sorry, she doesn't want to speak. So although my name is there, Dr. Sanders, if you would give us those updates accordingly, and if there's any questions after that point, we will be able to have that discussion. Thank you.
Okay. So the process for re-enrollment and residence verification began in early March. On March the 13th, the district sent out a JTEX to all St. Mary Parish families and pushed out a notification to local media, the district website, school websites, and district and school social media. The notification provided all St. Mary families the information needed for the re-enrollment and residence verification process. The deadline given at that time was April 30th. The required enrollment and residence verification documents were posted and remain posted on the district website, and for a few weeks circulated through our social media so that parents and legal guardians could readily see the documentation required. Although the deadline given was April 30th, schools have continued to accept documents and push out reminder notifications to families. Each school has maintained an alpha list spreadsheet to track each student re-enrollment. Many are complete, some are pending due to missing documents, and some families have not turned in any documentation at all yet. Currently, we're close to 70% complete enrollment district-wide. I know you want the school by school, Ms. Brent. I don't have that readily available in this room, but I can definitely get that for you. Please note that the class of 2025, the seniors of the upcoming school year, are not impacted by this process. They were all grandfathered in and did not have to turn in documents at all. Through the enrollment period, several schools set aside specific office hours during the school day so that front office staff could solely focus on receiving documents and answering any family questions. Many schools set aside time after school hours into the evening to make things more convenient for our working parents. And a few schools even hosted Saturday re-enrollment days to help with parents who just could not get to school during the week. To provide additional information to St. Mary families, mid-April, Dr. Fagenbush hosted a press conference for all local media here at COC, where she explained the process, the reason for re-enrollment and residence verification, and fielded several questions from media. Monday afternoon, this past Monday, June 10th, a JTEX went out to all families who have not yet completed enrollment. The families were reminded that re-enrollment and residence verification are mandatory and asked that all documents be turned in by noon tomorrow. During the month of March and April, the district also sent out through the same communication channels information on transfer requests. Parents and legal guardians were able to request majority to minority transfers as well as hardship transfers. And this information is available on our websites and social media as well. And that's what we've been doing with this process.
And let me ask this, for those parents who may be experiencing some problems, I think that a conversation may have been had. Can we approach some judges that may be able to assist us in signing those documents accordingly to assist those parents who aren't able to do that?
So Mr. Holmes's office, as well as mine, we've been working together throughout the whole process. And his work through the 16th Judicial Court System with Judge Hamilton specifically has afforded us a very good relationship with Judge Hamilton. And I know Mr. Holmes has been in conversations with him to try to offer guidance to families or support. I know for sure he suggested that there's a pro bono law firm that's hosted in Lafayette. I'm not certain what the name of it is. It's written down somewhere, but I can't remember. That could possibly help those families at least get the paperwork started. And then, of course, Judge is so busy with juvenile court that we're going to stay in communications with him to see if he can help expedite the process for the families. But I mean, we can't guarantee that the process can be done in any type of expedited fashion.
So does that mean that we will probably have immunity towards that end if, you know, if they can't get the paperwork done, school is going to be opening, enrollment has to take place, students will have to be in school, numbers will have to be there. So do we have any leeway for immunity towards that end?
So at this point, the conversations that I've had with the families whose main problem is that they have children living with them that they have no legal rights over at all. And so legal custody has to be granted by a judge. However, for children who are in the hands of a state led environment such as foster care, or if they're in a home that's related in some sort of way to the Department of Children and Family Services, those state entities can provide provisional custody mandates to be updated yearly, but those are the only two ways that the provisional mandates can be accepted is through those state agencies. So the families that we're trying to guide the best we can without speaking like a lawyer is that they have those avenues that they can take. If they truly have children who've been abandoned with them, there are pathways to take to get custody without having to go through the more expensive legal route.
So what happens if a student does not re-enroll and is not in anybody's school? Would they be considered truant?
Compulsory attendance laws in the state of Louisiana. If they're not enrolled in public school, they should be enrolled in some other instructional program. That could be homeschool, as just one example.
Thank
Ms. Anson.
So I've come across more than one, numerous different situations where grandparents are raising these children and they don't have paperwork on their grandchildren. It's just what grandparents do. If they don't feel like their child can take care of that kid, like they're not going to let their grandchild not be successful. Is there some type of route that we can provide? Because most grandparents, they don't want to get on the internet. They don't know how to mess with it. Some of them are physically at a disadvantage to even try to get to Lafayette. Is there something that we can do or we can hold to help them walk through it? Because they don't mind being in compliance. They simply just don't know how, and they have a good heart and they want to do right by their grandkids. And this isn't easy for y'all or them. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. Yeah.
It's not easy for us.
Us.
Yes.
Yeah, us. Yeah, I've had numerous phone calls. I've cried myself. I know that you've had tears. None of this is easy for anyone involved. I just want to see if there's a solution for the elderly that are already taking on something sometimes that they don't have a choice, but they feel like they have to handle it, and that's their babies.
But how do they do like medical care? How do they do any of that? If they have to go do an emergency medical situation, you still have to have some sort of legal.
We pay out of pocket. I'm a grandparent and I have a
Well, wait. You'd have to come to the podium, but, I mean,
That's why I had lowered the microphone. I think everybody needs to understand why this was done. You know, the why is, of course, that you're under a federal court order. That federal court order establishes certain attendance zones and says that any child who lives in that particular attendance zone is required to attend that particular school. So the first thing you're trying to do is to be able to demonstrate to the court that the children who are attending that school actually live in that zone. That means, that's the reason for requesting all the home information, so you can prove to the court that you're doing what the court has ordered you to do. The second part of that inquiry, however, deals with issues of confidentiality and privacy. Ms. Black asked a question about medical care, but the initial question would be about student records. Because under the Federal Educational Rights and Privacy Act, federal law dealing with student privacy, student records can only be shared with the parent or legal guardian of a child. So that would mean that if the child's living with grandma and grandma does not have legal custody, the school could not send the report cards to grandma. And nor could they send notices of disciplinary action to grandma because she would not be the legal guardian or custodian of the child. So that's the second reason, the second complicating factor that we have here. Now, if we get to the end of the year and that we've still got a number of children who are out, I know the court's going to be asking why there's so many kids out or why is your enrollment down so far? And we'll have to provide some explanation of that. And then perhaps the other parties will be willing to stipulate or allow some other less strenuous method of getting into the schools. But I would prefer, as your attorney, that come from the court rather than from us. If they think that there should be a lesser restrictive way to enroll children and that satisfies the court, well, then that's great. But doesn't necessarily help us, though, with the second issue on confidentiality and privacy. There are some ways that you can try to get around that. Some systems have used provisional custody by mandate. You've heard that before. Provisional custody by mandate is just a notarized document that says, I, parent, give grandma the opportunity to act on my behalf when it comes to check the box. It could be educational matters, could be medical matters, it could be several different, you can check them all the boxes if you want. And that would be notarized. Under Louisiana law, that is legal under Louisiana law. But there's also a provision that says, however, every school system can decide for itself whether to accept provisional custody by mandate. And what has happened is that every system that's still under a desegregation order, as you are, has chosen not to accept it because what they discovered is that the parents were, and the students, and I'm going to use the term zone jumping, they were attending schools that were not the schools in the zones that they lived in. And they were doing it by going to a 7-Eleven and getting a notary public to notarize a form saying that Johnny lives with grandma, whether he lived with grandma or not. But so that they could get into a particular school zone. So to avoid that problem, which arose in all the desegregation cases that I have been involved in, the systems that have those orders have chosen not to accept provisional custody by mandate in their districts. So again, all this complicates it, which means that the staff has worked very, very hard to try to get as many of these parent information as possible in a timely manner. That's why they started early. That's why they've gone way beyond the deadline that was originally established. They've notified parents every way that they know to notify the parents. And it's incumbent on the parents to step forward now. And if they want their children in school, they just need to come forward and take care of their paperwork. And I know the system's going to work with them every way that they can, because all of us know that your MFP funding is tied to your student count. So you're going to want to get your student count as high as you can possibly legally get it. And so I know the system is working very diligently to get all those children enrolled for school by this fall, but there may need to be some enhanced effort by the parents as well.
Ms.
Yes, ma'am.
Jones? Okay, I understand what you're saying about the parents stepping up to the plate and everything, but financially, we have a lot of parents that can't afford to step up to the plate financially for judges and lawyers. So when I spoke to Mr. Holmes, he was telling me something about some kind of form they was gonna try to get together for parents to enroll their kids into with the judge.
Yes, Judge Hamilton and I are working on this form, and he's gonna submit the form to me. So what we need to do, Dr. Sanders, and Member Anson, anytime.
Mr. Holmes, has that been cleared through legal counsel, our legal counsel? That's the first time I'm hearing of it.
If we have a court
So I
order-
think that's something we should probably have discussions on later, and we'll put that information out.
Constitute an alternate method of getting students in school, am I correct? Even if we're under desegregation consent decree, we need to have an alternate method established. So I guess you're saying that we have to discuss it at a later time, but we do have an alternate method in progress. Is that what we're saying here?
Anything that we do in this case, we always go through legal first, because that's who we're answering to, and that's who are supporting us in this case. So we're very careful with the guidance that we receive, and we're very careful with following the mandates of our legal team that we receive. So I appreciate the efforts that Mr. Holmes is doing, but those are conversations we definitely need to have to make sure that those are in compliance with what it is that we need to do.
I was just going to add, if you have a court order establishes custody. So if you have a judge, a district court judge who issues an order giving, in my example, grandma custody, legal custody of the child, well, then that accomplishes what needs to be accomplished. There is a way to accomplish that, but it can't be a notarized act. It has to be a signature of a district court judge.
That's what it is.
The only other thing I would add at this point, we can talk more, is that when the parents give up that custody to grandma, in my example, they need to understand they're giving up total custody. They have no longer have any control over student records. They have no control over discipline. They have no control over anything else. I mean, they are giving, when they sign that document, give custody to grandma, then that means that grandma is the parent at that point instead of the natural parent. So there are some things that they need to understand that they're giving away when they execute those types of documents. And so I hope that that information is made known to them so that they could make an intelligent decision as to whether they choose to do that or not.
President Black, yeah. So one other question, wasn't there another way to verify residence with a SRO visit? Wasn't that another option? Is that still available?
Yes, and actually even Dr. Sanders, I don't think people understand the amount of time daily that Dr. Sanders has spent on this, making sure that she is strictly following the guidelines that we've received from our legal team. So it's really important that if any decisions are made on a district level, that everyone is aware of what those decisions and actions are so that we're all following the same policies and procedures. So again, while I applaud that, let's bring that together and let's make sure that follows everything that we need to do. But Dr. Sanders has been even driving and visiting homes.
So just one question on that. If, I know the SRO visits take a little while. We only have so many, and I don't know how many have used that method, but I guess when they're in that kind of limbo state where they submitted that application as to when that visit actually takes place, what's their classification?
So the SRO visit, when someone has no proof of residency at all, has been mainly for people who are new to the district, which means they came in from out of state, out of district, whatever, and they're kind of temporarily having to stay with someone until they get set up. So we sent the SRO to do a residency check mainly for those situations. Because people who have been living in St. Mary forever, there's no reason that they don't have a residence set up. Maybe they're doubled up living in a multifamily home, and we had our option 2 documents set up specifically for those families. So we had the option 1 for our homeowners and renters, and they would give their own documentation. But then we also had option 2, where if you were staying with someone else, because we have a lot of multifamily homes in St. Mary, they would show all of the documentation of where the dwelling is actually located. And then they would provide the documents needed to show that they received mail and all of their official documents at that dwelling. And so more people went the option 2 route rather than the visit route, because even on the visit route, they had 30 days to produce their own documents following that visit. So when you would talk it out with the parents, they would realize, oh, I'm an option 2. I do have an established residence. I just have to have a different way of proving that. And so it did work out for most families.
All right, any other questions, comments, or discussion? Yes, thank you. All right, number 15, accept change order number 1 for chiller replacement at West St. Mary High School, B. Edward Boudreaux Middle School using ESSER funds. Mr. Wise.
Good afternoon. On behalf of Associated Design Group, our mechanical engineers, I'd like to ask for a no-cost change order for West St. Mary Chiller Project. This change order is only to extend the contract completion date by 66 days. So at this time, I'd like to ask for y'all to approve this no-cost change order for this contract for Bernhard Mechanical.
All right, Ms. Moore makes that motion. Ms. Jones makes the second. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. That's what you wanted, right, Mr. Ponte? Okay, perfect. Number 16, award substantial completion for chiller replacement at West St. Mary High School, B. Edward Boudreaux Middle School using ESSER funds.
And again, on behalf of Associated Design Group, our mechanical engineers, I'd like to ask for substantial completion for that same project at West St. Mary, HVAC chiller project We did include the punch list is also included. And that project is here shortly going to be wrapped up and completed. So I'd like for substantial completion.
All right, Ms. Moore makes the motion. Ms. Jones makes that second. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 17, accept change order for Franklin High School District 1 Phase 2 roofing project.
This change order for Mr. Jim Furman Architects is to add the Davis Baking prevailing wage recommendation that we have to follow. This adding of this prevailing wage rate to this contract is going to add an additional $20,362.79. So, and this is for Supreme Roofing and Construction Group. So at this time, I'd like to ask for the approval of that change order number 1 for the Davis Baking Prevailing Wage Act in the amount of $20,362.79.
All right, Ms. Jones makes that motion. Ms. Moore seconds it. Any discussion or questions? All of those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, and number 18, consider funding revisions for the Morgan City High School track to convert it to a 400-meter track.
Yes, ma'am. On behalf of Mr. Carl Bloom Architects, we're asking for the opportunity to make that a metered track. And in doing so, we have a couple of items that are listed in this change order. The first item is to do some repairs to the asphalt surfaces and removing some of the bumps and dips at a cost of $5,500. And actually to make the track a 400-meter track, the second item is actually to pour additional concrete on the inside curbing of the track so that we can lay that track out for a 400-meter track. That cost is $17,500. And then the third item that we're asking for in this change order is to add some additional concrete curbing to the long jump and triple jump runway. And that cost is $1,500 for a total change order cost of $24,500 for that Morgan City High Track project.
All right, thank you. Mr. Mancuso.
I'll make that motion to accept that change order.
All right, Mr. Mancuso makes the motion. Ms. Dennis seconds it. Any discussions or questions? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, number 19, accept change order for Patterson High School District 2 Phase 1 roofing project and change order for JS Oakland Elementary School District 3 Phase 1 roofing project.
Yes, ma'am. On behalf of Mr. Carl Bloom Architects, I'd like to ask for this change order for the District 2 roofing project. Coleman Roofing and Construction being the contractor on this project. This change order involves basically the replacement of a bunch of rotten roofing decking material. The first area over the band room at a cost of $1,597.50. And then some additional decking replacements and repairs over the library area and a cost of $13,678.52 for a total for the District 2 re-roofing project of $15,276.02. And also to continue on the District 3 roofing Phase 1 project, on behalf of Moore Core Roofing Construction, we're going to do some metal deck replacement on the canopy area by the library, and that cost is $4,055. So I would this time like to ask for the approval of those change orders.
Yeah, he presented numbers. He did the
It's
District 2.
2 and 3.
And, yeah.
same architect.
I'll make a motion to approve. the
All right,
change
Ms.
order.
Griffin makes the motion, Ms. LaSalle seconds it. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. All right, number 20, discuss and take action regarding proposed realignment plan. Dr. Fagenbush.
Good evening, everyone. On June 11th, Tuesday, we had a public work session to discuss a proposed realignment plan. This plan basically is in two parts. One part is concerning our organizational structure in St. Mary Parish and some proposed changes. And then the second part concerns proposed salary adjustments. These salary adjustments were basically in three areas. The first area was for classified staff. Those are our hourly workers. The salary suggestions in that area vary because we did have a third-party vendor, Lean Frog, who did a great market and peer analysis for us. And in that analysis, we showed ourselves that within our classified staff, we have different variances of what was and was not relatable to market and peer. Also in that, we looked at teacher and index personnel. As part of that proposal, originally Tuesday, the proposal was to raise our base teacher salary scale to additional $1,200. However, from feedback from board members in the last 2 days, the suggestion was to go ahead and raise that base pay to $1,500 more, which would give us $47,800 as our starting salary from $46,300 in St. Mary Parish. That is a little over a 3% pay raise for our teacher base pay. And I want to thank the board members for coming forward and asking for that little push. Part of that also with salary adjustments, we have requested along with that, that we adjust the 10, 10.5, 11, and 12-month calendars to all equal the same amount, which would mean our index personnel would have minus of 2 days for each of those. That would help us to raise index salaries, which were shown to be slightly below our peer average, while at the same time providing some consistency in our district as far as office staffs being available for each other. So that was the overall, and I was going to introduce it as one piece. Also to school board members, in the peer and market analysis, as I was even working on the plan to present, my little news feed came up saying that a local district raised their board salary to $800, which is the maximum allowed for school boards and which is consistently being offered in districts across our state. So again, as part of a peer and market analysis, I would like to suggest that if we do go forward with the salary proposals, that we allow at that time for us to work towards advertising as is required in revised statute 1756 for board considerations at the July meeting for your potential raise as well. I have received a request that due to some family concerns, relations, Mr. Mancuso has asked that he be excused from the salary consideration. So as such, Mr. Hammonds, I need to break this up now into two motions.
Yes, but make sure it's clear as to how you break it up for purposes of the minutes.
And just to be clear, any increase in school boards salaries or stipends is not going to be on this vote. So whatever we vote for, that would have to be separate. So, and a notice and all that stuff. So just to make that clear.
Yes,
as
just
well,
if the salary proposal is approved, my consideration would be then to allow me to begin that process for advertisement. So I'd like to begin with making a motion that based upon the updated realignment plan that you have received, that you accept the organizational chart at this time.
So that would be just section 1.
That would be section 1, yes.
A
ma'am.
and B.
Yes.
Okay. So this is just in regards to the organizational chart. section. No, it's not gonna be voted on as a whole because we have to, take out. It's just the reorganizational.
It's the reorganizational part. Along that would go the job descriptions that were related to that. And then we would make the adjustments in salary of July 1st based upon your recommendations. And then we would bring the whole gold book to you in July for you to approve the whole thing.
Okay, so we're just voting on.
Yes, ma'am.
Does this portion include the increase in indexes? Or will that be the next portion?
That would be the salary scale.
Thank you.
All right. What are the wishes of the board, Mr. Parity?
I'll make a motion to move forward with accepting the changes regarding the realignment plan.
All right. So Mr. Parity makes a motion, Ms. Moore seconds it. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, second part.
At this time, I would like to make a motion to accept the proposed salary changes for classified teacher and index personnel as suggested. And also, if this is approved, to allow for me to advertise for potential board consideration for salary increase in July.
All right, Mr. Mancuso.
Just a quick comment, just to add about, I appreciate you breaking these up on my behalf. I did call the Board of Ethics, explain the situation about my wife being a teacher, and they recommended that I not vote on this, so I will abstain from voting on this item. They did say I could participate in the discussion, so just want to throw that out there as well. But that is why I'm abstaining, is because of that phone call. So Mr. Hammonds, I appreciate your information you provided, but I don't want to go against what the guy told me on the phone. And maybe I didn't explain it correctly to him, but that's where I'm at.
All right.
That's understood.
Understood. Any questions, discussions? What are the wishes of the board in regards to section 2 proposed salary adjustments? Ms. Jones.
I propose we go ahead and vote on salary change and proposal for this.
Okay. So your motion is to accept the
Accept the
recommendation. All right, Ms. Brent seconds it. All right, any discussion or questions? Ms. Griffin.
I'd like to make a substitute motion that we approve the second part. But with that, add an increase in the index for, from 1.60 to 1.67 for our chief financial officer. This was not solicited by the CFO. I think this board is fully aware that he alone probably keeps us fiscally responsible, and partly because of him, we're able to do this for our employees. And also based on the survey, I think that it was said that he was underpaid. So I want to make that substitute motion that we increase his index from a 1.60 to a 1.67.
All right, Ms. Griffin, are you saying that the rest of the salary adjustments are acceptable?
Yes.
Okay, so then what I would suggest is you make a motion to amend.
I make a motion to amend that, to increase it from a 1.60 to a 1.67.
So we're gonna vote on the amendment first.
That requires a second. If you get a second, then you vote on the amendment first, and then you would go back and vote on the overall salary adjustments.
All right, thank you. Ms. LaSalle, you're gonna second the amendment? Okay, so we're voting on to amend Ms. Jones's motion to accept the recommendations of the school board, but also increase the CFO's index to 1.65. 67. All right, all those in favor of amending the motion, say aye. Any opposed? Oh, I didn't ask for discussion. Sorry. Okay, any discussion or questions before?
What would that look like in dollar amount? Just out of
So
curiosity.
that's equivalent to the assistant superintendent. So essentially, we're creating another assistant superintendent.
All right, any other or discussion before we vote again on the amendment? Mr. Mancuso?
So I think I can vote on the amendment, being that it's just one person. So I will be voting on the amendment, but not on the original motion.
Gotcha.
If, Mr. Hammond, do you agree with that? Okay.
Any other questions or discussion? So the increase in the CFO's index would bring that position up to the assistant superintendent's index. That's the one change from the,
That's the only thing you voted.
all right?
Just voting on that.
Discussion or questions? Ms. LaSalle?
I'm quick to say, I don't really understand the step thing, because I don't really get involved in that. But 1.67, what about 1.66? What's the difference? What's 65? I mean, what's the difference in pay? So
On your microphones, please, so Ms. Elodie can have them.
sorry about that. The idea is to move him. I did notice that there was no movement in that position. But we don't want another assistant superintendent, but there can be some movement, right? So
My question is, if you move that position, do you move them all?
everybody else has been moved except that one, right?
No.
They have not?
No,
Oh.
ma'am, that's incorrect. As you see in the chart, actually, it was Mr. Perry's suggestion to me that all chiefs be at the same index as him. If I recall our conversation, and he said, that's correct. That was his suggestion, to move all chiefs to the same index as him. That is a 1.60, and then the assistant superintendent is a 1.67. From there, everyone is still going to receive a raise because all index personnel receive the raise from the base teacher salary plus the percent of their index that they already have. So everyone is, index-wise, is receiving, again, at least 3,000, and in this case, a 0.60 increase as well.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to amend the recommendation to increase the CFO index to 1.67. Any other discussion or questions? All right, now we're gonna vote. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Nay. Roll call, please.
Ms. Brett? Ms. Moore? Ms. Anselm? Ms. Jones? Ms. Griffin? Ms. LaSalle?
I'm going to say yes because I
Yes?
made the motion.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Ponte? Mr. Parity? Mr. Mancuso? Mrs. Dennis? Mrs. Black?
Nay.
Motion fails.
All right, so back to the original motion to accept the recommendation that was brought by Ms. Jones and seconded by Ms. Brent. Did I get that right? All right, any discussion or questions on the original motion? Any questions? Any questions? All right, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Oh, and one abstention. It was Mr. Mancuso. All right, thank you. Motion carries. Under staff and committee reports, number 1, Louisiana Public Service Commission Energy Efficiency Program approves funding for lighting upgrades at Hattie Watts Elementary School and Berwick Elementary School. Mr. Wise.
The Louisiana Public Service Commission has approved us for a LED lighting upgrade at Hattie Watts Elementary and Berwick Elementary. This is substantial. They're gonna go into these schools and they're gonna replace all of the light fixtures in the building and put brand new LED high efficiency light bulbs and fixtures throughout these two campuses. Part of the criteria to be approved with this program is that we had to be a CLECO customer. So Morgan City is not going to be able to participate. And further talking about this, we had them survey all of the schools that were on the CLECO utilities. So this year we've been approved for these two schools. Next year, it looks like we may be eligible for some additional schools. Just to give you an idea, the funding for Hattie Watts Elementary to do that project is $369,844. The project for Berwick Elementary is $322,677 for a total project cost of $692,576 worth of lighting upgrades for those two schools. Not only are we going to get the lighting upgrade, but we're also are going to get the utility savings that goes along with that. We have a little bit of reporting process that we're going to have to follow up for the next couple of years to make sure that we're attaining those savings. But this is at no cost to us, and this ought to make these two facilities much better, much better. So,
Mr. Wise. Thank
yes.
you.
And
I'm
this
super
was all, of course, through the help of Dr. Fagenbush. She kind of orchestrated this on getting this ball rolling, and I just followed suit to make it happen. So,
Okay, so I have a
But
question.
you did, thank you.
thank you.
So was Bayou Vista surveyed too? Because I know they're also in CLECO, but if they didn't make it, they said that there's an allotment for possibly the next year after. Do you know if they run it under qualifications?
We've surveyed all of the CLECO facilities, anything that was serviced with CLECO. We went out, we surveyed. Basically what they do is they go out and they count light fixtures, types of fixtures, stuff like that. So they do an audit. So we have audited all the schools. We have those numbers. So we will submit again next year. And of course, it's up to the Louisiana Public Commission to yay or nay us. So. I guess you would call it a grant. I mean, we don't pay this back. This is ours.
Right, they'll come in, they're going to do the work themselves. They provide the contractor and everything. So they'll just come in and it's called retrofitting, right? Is that, all right?
Yes.
I learned something in that one.
Yeah.
And they're going to come in and retrofit everything. So because some of our buildings are older, and so inside and out, we'll have LED upgrades in those.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. All right, next up, our Chief Financial Officer's report, Mr. Perry.
We're nearing the end of the fiscal year. We have 11 months of our sales tax collections, and we're doing okay. This month, we just barely met budget, though. We collected $1,953,000 versus $1,951,000. So next month will be our last month, and this date is important because this will help us determine what to budget for next fiscal year. The financial statements are in the packet, and I just wanted to mention that next meeting, James Perez will come and do a thorough update on our plan. There's a few hiccups that's happened recently that I want him to explain to you. And the last thing is I bear no animosity toward the vote just now. Not a big deal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Next up is our superintendent's report.
Good evening. House Bill 967 recently was signed into law by Governor Landry, becoming Act 394. Act 394 creates additional opportunities for TRSL retirees to return to work in a TRSL eligible position. The biggest change in guidelines already established for retired educators is for retirees who retired, say that a lot of times, it's hard, on or after July 1, 2020. If a school district has declared a critical shortage position, retirees after a 12-month waiting period are allowed to return to work with no benefits declined. So that is the critical piece. Our employees who had retired after 2020 were not eligible to come back into our critical shortage positions. But now those who have been out for more than 12 months will be able to come back. So we encourage you, please, to go to our district website and apply. We need you. As reported earlier in our meeting, we are currently trying to finalize the re-enrollment process for the 24-25 school year that starts August 7, 2024. Currently, we are close to 70% re-enrollment status. As we are attempting to finalize class rosters and determine final staffing numbers, we encourage those who may need assistance in this process to call your school's office so they can assist you or reach out to our district office. As Mr. Wise just said, we were proud to announce that the St. Mary Parish School Board received a grant from the Louisiana Public Service Commission for a total of $692,576. I'd also like this time to announce that just minutes prior to coming out to our board meeting this evening, I was informed by GOSEP that we have received over $823,227 for safety upgrades in, at this point, 17 of our schools. I was also informed that our remaining 5 schools are on round 2, and extra money has been afforded to this grant, and it's very highly likely that they will also be approved for a total of over $240,000. So together, that will be over $1 million worth of grants for safety we have received today. I'd like to thank Dr. Sanders, Ms. Perkle, Ms. Hoffpower, Ms. Hewitt, and Ms. Lauermore for helping us so much in this process and getting quotes, writing the narratives for our schools, and calling everyone in so we can submit these grants individually. Thank you all so much. On behalf of the educators and support staff of St. Mary Parish Public Schools, I would like to thank the school board for investing in the future of St. Mary Parish Public Schools by approving pay raises for employees this evening. Your support and recognition of the hard work of our dedicated employees is truly appreciated. Thank you for your commitment to our team, and thank you for valuing our contributions. That ends my report.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Hammonds.
I just had a very brief announcement. The board had authorized the Attorney General to come in as co-counsel in your desegregation case. That was opposed by the NAACP. We had a hearing today, and the court granted the motion for the Attorney General to be co-counsel for the board in the case. So that happened just this afternoon, so I wanted to bring it to your attention.
Thank you. All right. Last up, let's get, can we get a motion to adjourn following the resolutions of respect? Ms. LaSalle makes the motion. Ms. Moore seconds it. Any opposed? All those in favor? All right, thank you. All right, Ms.
In memoriam of L. Ridge Hoskins Jr., a retired middle school head custodian, Roger Liner, retired school bus attendant, and Herbert Menard, retired school bus driver. Whereas Almighty God, in his infinite wisdom, has taken from our midst, and whereas their untimely death has deprived the St. Mary Parish school system of these beloved colleagues. Now therefore be it resolved that the St. Mary Parish School Board and the people attending this meeting bow our heads in silent prayer out of respect and extend to their bereaved families our sincere condolences and express the high regard in which we held each of them in life and honor their memory in death. Let us adjourn this meeting out of respect for L. Ridge Hoskins Jr., Roger Liner, and Herbert Menard. Amen.